welcome Sarah Jane Healy.
Yay! Woo! Michigan!
Thank you. Oh, it's good to be up here. I've got some friends here from Portland who drove up to see me.
Down from Flint. Well, that's where I met him.
Yes.
I'm from Flint. Flint's where, when you call to report an intruder in your house, you also call and order a pizza to see who gets there first. Oh, my dad worked for GM. We're your typical blue-collar Midwestern family, I imagine. Poor. We were so poor we once ate literally nothing but pancakes for an entire month. No butter, no syrup, just the pancakes. By night 3, Mom's trying to make them more exciting, making them into shapes. Not stars or hearts or Mickey Mouse. No, we got an oil spill, an anthill, Grandma's gout foot. It was a rough month. So, I have an older brother, a younger sister, which makes me invisible. I'd often wonder if they'd notice if I got kidnapped. Oh, man. My parents, every year, we'd go to Florida for Christmas. And one year we drove, all 5 of us, and all the luggage, and all the presents, in our 2-door diesel Chevette. Long hours on the road lead to delirious boredom, leading us to bind and gag one another, Dukes of Hazzard style, and post a sign that reads, "Help! We've been kidnapped!" Kidnapping was just starting to take off in the 80s, you see. Nowadays, you get a helicopter, a roadblock, and a SWAT team dressed up as Santa Claus to save us. No, not then. Our parents used the control through fear method to raise us, much like many religions and our U.S. government. If we were doing something that may or may not be life-threatening, my mom would yell, "Do you want to go see Jesus?" No, hell no. I mean, we went to church 3 times a week. I didn't know whether to fear Jesus or love him. It was weird. And my little sister, I shared a bed with her for the first 6 or 7 years of her life, and she also just happened to be a chronic bedwetter. So every morning I'd wake up in a puddle of pee. I pleaded with my parents, "Please, can I have my own bed, please? We don't have the money, we can't afford it." So I was forced to get creative. So I'd lie awake every night and wait until she was in a very deep sleep. And then I would throw her pillow and her blanket and her pee pad on the side of the bed. And I would put my legs up on the side of her body and just push her real slow until she fell off. She never woke up. It wasn't until years later I told her the truth. She couldn't blame me. She was just happy to know she wasn't also a chronic faller out of the bedder. So I had these weird phobias as a kid. One of them was that I was scared that a nail hanging out of the wall would catch my eyelid as I walked past and tear it off. So I'd walk like this if I was by a wall. Yeah, it's a weird kid. So I was 7. My parents got me my first love, Pink Panther banana seat bike. I was so excited. For 2 weeks, though, all I did was pretend to ride it because I was too scared to actually learn. So the other kids are riding their bikes in the street, and I'm in the back pretending. I'm riding. Yeah, and while I'm doing that, I noticed the kickstand on my bike is kind of big. And I developed this seemingly irrational phobia that the bike would fall over and the kickstand would plummet directly into my, I was short. So 2 weeks later, with skinned knees and bruised elbows and a shiny new fear of my mother's insanity, I was finally able to ride solo. Nothing like scaring the hell out of your child to teach them to learn a new trick. She would run behind me, holding the bike, screaming, "Pedal! Pedal!" I was like, "Oh my God, I'm scared. I don't know if I should pedal." So, I finally learned, and I could ride with my friends. Sure, you remember just riding around in the street, and then you'd stop and hang out on your bikes in the road, and you didn't really get off your bike in case a car came, but then there's me. I'm the middle child, I need the attention, so I get off my bike and I walk around the bike, proclaiming its uniqueness and rarity. Nobody had a bike like mine. Nobody wanted one either. Just then, a mighty wind comes and knocks the bike over. The kickstand plummets directly into mine. Well, you know, I was short.
Oh.
So after that, I became attached to the idea of getting my own horse. It was getting harder and harder to pretend I was a princess, so I thought a horse would really help with that. And so I asked my parents, and they of course said, oh, well, they said, we don't really have room for a horse. This is where it's really important to not lie to your children, people. Just tell them the truth. So I walk around to our neighbors and ask them, can we use your yard? If we get a horse, my parents said we just don't have room, you know, and they were like, oh yeah, sure, we can use our yard. Your dad works at GM. Can you afford a horse? So, you know, they didn't say that. So I go home and I'm all hopeful and full of glee, and I tell my mom and dad, they say, Bill said we could use their yard. They said we could use their yard. Oh, well then they squash it with the truth. We can't afford a horse. Go ride your bike in the street and hope you don't get kidnapped. Thank you.